I just broke the cork off. A bourbon steward. It takes me a minute to get some words sometimes. Oh, that's puke. Ugh. Ripping his clothes and gnashing his teeth. Corn whiskey. I still haven't found my first Blanton's. It is time for the Bourbcast, and tonight I'm kind of actually rather excited. I get to delve into this brand new whiskey. I don't know how long it's been on the market, but I remember seeing it for the first time just a short time ago, and here it is, and I get to delve into it. We get to tell you the story of Nearest Green. Now, one thing that some of you may like, some of you may not dig, is this stinker only comes in at 84 proof. I know. I've been drinking a lot of the high proof stuff lately, and quite frankly, I've been really enjoying it. But I have been preparing for this. Now, this is a whiskey, but I've been drinking a rye. You know me, the old Overholt. Well, this is the lowest proof of these. This is 86 proof. So just 2 proof points, 1% over this bad boy. So I've been priming it. I've been only allowing myself a couple of sips every night. I'm not doing, well, not every night, but I'm doing about every other night. Just a couple sips of this, and then that's it. Because I wanted to get ready for this one and try to give it all the love that it deserves. So let's get into it. When we first talk about Uncle Nearest, we sometimes hear the phrase, the best whiskey maker the world never knew. Well, that is Nearest Green. And we should have done this last month, and I just wasn't thinking. It was Black History Month, and it probably would have been a better time to do this, but we're going to give him the tribute that he deserved last month today. All right. He's a former slave. Story behind this is that a Lutheran preacher up the road from Lynchburg was operating a still behind his farmhouse. His congregation wasn't too keen about a man of God doing such a thing, so Reverend Dan Call agreed to turn the operation over to one of his associates, who continued to employ Nathan Nearest Green as his head distiller. After the Civil War and the abolition of slavery, Mr. Green continued on by choice as a free man, and he used his earnings to buy a home in nearby Lynchburg. Now, some folks say that Nathan Green, let's get this poured. You can see it's still sealed. I've never opened it. Oh my goodness, golly. Oh my, that cork is in there, baby. Okay, we got it. Whew, I didn't want to break a cork. I hate breaking corks. All right. Okay. You know what? Let's let it breathe. Okay. Let's let that bad boy breathe. All right, some folks say that Nathan Green may have been the genius that perfected the Lincoln County process of filtering the juice through the sugar maple charcoal before barreling, not Reverend Call, that taught a young Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. And that's, even Jack Daniels now is starting to acknowledge that it was Nearest Green, or Uncle Nearest, that taught young Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. So even they are saying that it was. So Mr. Green taught a young Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. For some time, hey Spencer, for some time they worked side by side. Today, the still at that church is long gone, but the legend remains, and finally, Nathan Green, Uncle Nearest, has gotten the credit and the fame that he more than earned. As a matter of fact, some refer to him now as the godfather of Tennessee whiskey. The distillery that bears his name, Nearest Green, opened in September 2019, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and on Father's Day weekend they unveiled what they are calling Phase 2 of 4 phases of a $50 million growth plan. Distillation is currently taking place at Corsair Distillery, and aged whiskey is being sourced from 5 different distillers, and barrels are being shipped up to Kentucky for a final earth filtration after being dumped. Whiskeys are blended and barreled at this point. Now that the distillery is built, the plan is to bring as much of the process in-house, make their own distillate as possible. So, let's get started with Uncle Nearest. what did I say? 84 proof. 84 proof. So Nearest Green was born in 1820. Jack Daniels was born in 1849, meaning Green was about 37 when they met. One writer's account says Green wasn't much older than Jack Daniels, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The Emancipation Proclamation was an executive order issued by Abraham Lincoln, the president, on January 1st, 1863, when Green was 43. He was freed by the 13th Amendment on December 18th, 1865, when he was 45. Can you imagine? I mean, I know there were people that lived in slavery their entire lives. But for Nearest Green to go to 45 years old and then be freed, can you imagine? I mean, the shock. It reminds me of the Israelites leaving Egypt. You know, they didn't have any idea what to do. They'd been enslaved their entire lives. Now all of a sudden they're freed, and it's like, what do we do now? Oh, let's just wander around in the desert for 40 years. But he didn't. He was master distiller. He continued to be master distiller. He bought his own property in Lynchburg, used the money, had a huge family. Let's get into that. Nearest Green was freed when he was 45. By now, Jack Daniels is 16. Jack Daniels Distillery was founded in 1875 when Jack was 26. Green was 55 years old, according to the Jack Daniels website. Green became Jack's master distiller. Shala, how are you? I'm glad you're with us today. This is fun. This is a fun one. I like this one. Brown Forman owns the distillery. We talked about this. They said that Jack Daniels was first licensed in 1866. That does not jibe with the math of the ages at all. In a 2004 biography, Blood and Whiskey, The Life and Times of Jack Daniel, author Peter Crass maintains that land and deed records show that the distillery was not founded until 1875. In 1881, Jack Daniels Distillery moved, and that's near the time when Nearest Green is said to have ended his career there at the age of 61. Nearest Green passed away in 1890 at the age of 70 and is buried at Highview Cemetery in Lynchburg. I looked up the cemetery and I found his gravestone. Craig is watching. Hey, how you doing, Craig? Despite the locals knowing the truth of the origins of Jack Daniels, the distillery didn't acknowledge Nearest Green's influence on that brand. However, in 2016, the New York Times did a story on it which got that ball rolling. And in 2017, Brown Forman officially recognized Nearest Green as the distillery's first master distiller. Nearest Green and his wife Harriet had 11 children. We had 2. Because we didn't want more than that. 11 children? Are you kidding me? But that was a different age. 11 children, some of them worked at Jack Daniels, and some of his descendants still do, particularly 4-time Master Blender of the Year and 5th-generation Green descendant, Victoria Edie Butler, who signs the bottles. So one thing we didn't talk about is where Nearest Green may have gotten the inspiration to do the charcoal filtering. And Nathan Green was born in Maryland, but we don't know where his parents came from. There's no indication of who his parents were, where they came from, where they died. They say that his parents were born in Tennessee, but Nathan Green was born into slavery in Maryland and moved to Lynchburg. So he wasn't from Africa. His parents doesn't sound like they were from Africa, but somebody in their line may have been from West Africa, which is where they used charcoal filtering for filtering out the impurities in water and other things, but mainly water. So that may be where, maybe a generational influence that came all the way down to Nathan Green, which he then brought back and used with this pastor making whiskey, and then taught that to Jack Daniels. So it's really interesting, but how he came to know about charcoal filtering is anybody's guess. That's my hypothesis, although nobody else really ever linked all that together. When Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey was born, it was sourced from one of the only distilleries in America that still makes Tennessee whiskey the Nearest Green way. They took those barrels and blended them into Uncle Nearest 1856 and 1884. And in 2021, they moved away from sourcing whiskey, began distilling at the distillery in Columbia, Tennessee, bottling at Shelbyville, Tennessee. Future plans, of course, once again, to bring distilling to the Shelbyville location starting spring of 2026. Let's see. Uncle Nearest was reintroduced to the whiskey world in 2017 by co-founder, owner, and CEO Fawn Weaver, who, by the way, is stunning. Beautiful woman. Gorgeous green eyes. Beautiful woman. She went to Tennessee to interview Nearest Green's descendants for a book project. Weaver's work helped reveal the history of Jack Daniel Distillery, included Nearest Green as the first master distiller and mentor to Jack Daniel, inspiring her to found and launch the Nearest Green Distillery and the Uncle Nearest premium whiskey brand in 2017. This made Weaver the first African-American woman to head a major spirits brand. This whole brand, this whole story, this whole everything is so fascinating, which is why I love talking about some of this stuff, because the history, the history of some brands that start later, they don't, like Brothers Bond. Okay, it's a couple of actors that like to drink when they were on set. And they like to drink wussy juice too, by the way, because it's like 80 proof. Sorry, that wasn't nice. That wasn't nice at all. So those are stories that are out there, and that's fine. And you have to get the celebrity stories, but this story's got grit. This story's got history. This story's got intrigue and mystery and just so much going on in Nearest Green. I hope someday when I'm in heaven I get to meet the guy and shake his hand and say, wow, what you were able to accomplish under the circumstances, and just good on you. Fist bump. That's kind of the way. All right, so people are talking. Ellen's here. Hey, hello there, just joined. Did you talk about the Bourbon Steward details yet? No, I didn't. Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that. In May, I am going to go down to Louisville with a friend of mine, and he and I are going to become executive Bourbon Stewards. We're going to do it. I've been wanting to do it since I became, I think it's called an associate Bourbon Steward now, but a certified Bourbon Steward. Yeah, thank you, Ellen. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to go do it. I've been wanting to do it. You think I know how to taste this stuff now? You just wait. You wait till I become an executive. I'll have a scent training kit. I'm going to have all sorts of stuff. So it may change the way that I do the Bourbcast. We'll see. I may get even more hoity-toity. I don't know. All right, let's do this. Shall we do this? I've had you going now for 18 minutes, and we haven't even tasted or smelled anything yet. Let's get on to it. Oh, that is beautiful. That's got a great nose. First thing I get is a little bit of marshmallow, believe it or not. This may be the only time I've ever had a first note of marshmallow. Boy, that's nice. It's sweet. It's one of the so of the 1896. Is that what I said it was? 1896. I get that. Or no, 56. 1856 and the 1884. I like the 1884 better because it's sweeter. This gives me the impression that it's going to be even sweeter than the 1884. So marshmallow, maybe creme brulee. I have no notes on this whatsoever. I don't even have a mash bill. I don't believe. I don't think I do. Nope. I know it's at least 51% corn. I know. This is executive steward status here. No. Although the corn influence on this is strong. I wish I would have done the research to find the mash bill. Very sweet. Salted caramel. It's just a little bit astringent. It's the astringency is hiding behind the sweet. But the more I sniff on it, the more I get the astringency. Maybe brown sugar. All right, let's just try it, shall we? Yeah, let's just do that. Missing something here. Did the party start early today? No, the party didn't start early. I started right on time, but I mean, I've been talking for almost 21 minutes now, and we haven't even tasted it yet, so shut up, Casey! All right. For 84, I have to keep looking because I forget. For 84 proof, that's got a nice bloom. Ooh, I'm feeling it go all the way down too. That drink's hotter than 84 proof. Now, that being said, the mouthfeel is a little on the thin side. I would say that its viscosity is low. It's not super thin like the Ezra Brooks 90. That was thin. The benchmark old number 8, that's super thin. All right, let's see what I can do for some flavors here. This is one of those I'm having trouble picking out anything specific. I'll tell you, the flavor is very nice. It doesn't taste like other Tennessee whiskeys. You know, one of the things that you get worried about is that it's going to taste like the Lincoln County process. I mean, if you like Jack Daniels and you like George Dickel, you like that Tennessee whiskey taste, Gentleman Jack and whatever, okay, then you like that. I don't. I'm not a fan of that. This does not have that. So if you're worried about this particular Tennessee whiskey tasting like those other Tennessee whiskeys, it doesn't. Not at all. I could put this right up next to Jack Daniels and there's like no comparison. Which, I like that. This has got, I mean, all Tennessee whiskey, if you look at it a certain way, is bourbon. It just goes through an extra process. I mean, that's that whole fight. Is Jack Daniels bourbon? Yes. Just goes through an extra step to make it no longer bourbon. But this doesn't have that flavor. It's got a different flavor all its own, and it's got a sweetness to it for sure. There's a floral note. There's a raisin note to it. More vanilla than cinnamon, and it's not floral note, fruity note. Definitely more vanilla than cinnamon. The cinnamons are a little bit on the lower side on this one. Caramels are still out there. Looking for honey and can't find it. Looking for brown sugar on the palate, not really finding it. That marshmallow flavor I'm not getting. I got it on the nose, but I'm not getting it on the palate at all. It's got an interesting, well-rounded type of flavor, but the notes are different. You get used to a certain profile or a certain palate, and you can like pick out these things. I'm not getting citrus. There's a slight granola note. I do get the brown sugar now. This is just a very tasty pour. I'm pleasantly surprised at this particular pour. For just a little 84 proofer, it's got some presence. It's got some body. Again, a little on the thin side, but not overly so. It's actually a very nice sip. I like this one. I can recommend this one. If you want some of your mid-proof pours, this is a little low on that mid-proof. I would say mid-proof is maybe about 90 to 96. But if you like a lower proof pour with a little bit of heat, a little bit of body left to it, so you can go, yeah, this is good. I like the way this tastes, actually. All right, one more of these and see if I can get you some notes on the finish. What is the lowest proof bourbon? Ellen asks. The lowest proof bourbon is 80 proof. You cannot legally call it bourbon if it's less than 80 proof. You can call it whiskey, and there are whiskeys that are less than 80 proof. Some of the Canadian whiskeys, particularly the flavored ones from Crown Royal, they tend to be around the 70 proof mark. Southern Comfort is a whiskey, barely. That comes in at, I think, 70 proof. And there's probably some other ones as well. But the lowest bourbon is 80 proof. All right. So let's pour a little more of this good stuff here. And add a little water to it. I'm hoping that changes the viscosity a little bit. I'm hoping it gives it a little more of a silky mouthfeel. But, we'll find out. Boop, boop. We're just going to do 2. We did the Elijah Craig 18 last week, and just 2 drops blew that up in all the right ways. It was really good. Do you know what the oldest bourbon is? No. No. I mean, if you're talking about how long they've been around, there are bourbons. I've got one here that was bottled in 1960-something. I'd have to go back and maybe it's 1950-something. And it was actually bottled by Pappy. And now if you're talking about, so how long has it been in the bottle? I mean, there's probably bottles out there that have been in the bottle for 100 years or more. As far as the oldest aged whiskey, I don't know of any over 25. Pappy Van Winkle is 25 year. They say that once it all depends on the barreling, and it depends on the conditions that it's in and all that stuff. If you have one that's older than that, I think there was one that was a 50 year. They had, I don't remember what it was, but they had stored it away. They'd taken it out of the barrel, the oak barrel, and they stored it away in I think it was stainless steel or something like that, and it sat there for 25 years. So essentially it's a 50 year, but did it do any better after it went into stainless steel, after it came out of the kegs, after the casks? I don't know. There's going to be a limit to how long you can age a bourbon in wood, in the white oak casks, and still get something out of it. Will it get better over time? I don't know. 50 years is a long time. But that's the oldest one I know of as far as a cask is one, and I don't even remember who it was, but they left it behind, they forgot about it, and it became a 50 year. How old was it when they took it out of the casks? I don't even remember. It could have been 25, 28, 30 years. I don't know. But I'm not aware really of a bourbon that's been aged longer than that. I mean, I've got bourbons here that were bottled in the 1980s. I've got one that was bottled and commemorative to the Mount St. Helens explosion. That was in 1980. So, that's, 43 years, 45 years. For crying out loud. 45 years. 1980 was 45 years ago. Reagan was president. So Reagan was the 40th president. We're on number 47 now. And that's been 45 years. We've had 7 presidents in 45 years. That blows my mind. We've had 47 presidents in the history of the country, which is going to be 250 years old next year. Isn't that mind-blowing? Stuff like that. Chris is watching. Hey, Chris, how are you? Things like that just blow my mind. I love it. Okay, yeah. I never thought I would like history when I was in school, but I do. All right. Ellen says she's feeling really old now. I'm older than you, Ellen. I think I'm older than you. I can pretend I'm not if it makes you feel any better. So the mouthfeel did improve. I'm not going to tell you that it's super viscous. I'm not going to tell you that it's super silky. But it's better. But it's better than it was. It wasn't icky thin before, but it's definitely just a little bit better now. Let's dig back in, y'all. Mouth feels better. It didn't really open up. It didn't really give me anything new. It didn't coalesce the flavors together. They were kind of coalesced already. It's 84 proof. So, I mean, you're going to water it down to 84. There's very little else you're going to get out of it. And when you put a couple drops in, you're watering it down even more. I'm probably down to 80 proof now, or maybe a little less. So, yeah, I mean, I like it neat. The water improves the mouthfeel, but nothing else, really. Decent flavors on it. All right, now, so these glasses, and I've talked about this before, I'll talk about it again. These glasses were given to me by a friend who passed away. These were actually a friend of a friend. So the friend passed away, good friend. He's gone. My other friend went to his house and got these because he knew that the friend died, wanted me to have them. I know, that was convoluted. I didn't mean it to be, but so the friend that gave me these was a member of an archery club that I'm a member of. And just this week, we lost another long-term member of the archery club, Ed. And Ed was one of the neatest, nicest, coolest guys. He made one banging chili, like, you know, the stew or soup, whatever you want to call it, the chili. Just a little heat, and he had two different recipes, and they were both really good. The one was a little bit hotter. It's really nice. But he passed away. The recipe lives on, thankfully, because he had Parkinson's, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and he wasn't able to cook anymore. But he gave the recipe to some of the guys in the club so they could make his chili on chili shoots, which, by the way, is coming up in just a couple of weeks. So since both of them were members of this archery club, I'm going to drink one to Ed out of Mike's glass. So I have here, Phil's watching. Hey, Phil. How are you, sir? I never thought I'd see you here. I'm glad you're here. This is cool. This is a gorgeous ice sphere. Just love these things. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, shoot. I don't think this is going to do anything on ice. I think it's going to fall apart. But we're gonna put it through the paces. All right, now, so Phil, you don't come here very often, and Ellen, you probably have seen this before. Some of the others have seen this before, but here, Paul Smith and I started something called the finger stir. So to get that whiskey nice and cold, I wouldn't do this with your drinks, but I'm doing it with mine. Don't tell anybody. Again, I wouldn't do this to anybody else's drink, but Paul and I like doing the finger stir. It's an homage. By the way, I didn't forget. It's caramel, if you have a degree. All right, here we go. It did not fall apart. It didn't change one bit. The flavors didn't change. Didn't get sweeter, didn't get more bitter, didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, there's still some bite to it. Now, I didn't give it time to get diluted. It's just cold. And cold, again, sometimes that mutes the flavors somewhat. On this one, it didn't, really. Now, if I let that ice cube sit in there, of course, it's going to dilute. But in this case, it didn't do it. It tastes pretty good. It could be used in a cocktail, but I would recommend that if you're going to do that, use a giant ice sphere like this and not ice cubes. Why? Because even though this is a great big ice cube, it has less surface area than a bunch of little cubes. So it will melt slower. Plus, it's clear ice. That makes it melt a little slower, too. So if you don't want to dilute that whiskey in the drink, use a clear ice sphere or a clear ice cube in your glass. So, yeah, that's actually pretty decent. One of those few whiskeys that actually work okay on ice. Yeah. If you're looking for a nice summer sip, this Uncle Nearest, it's only 84 proof. Works well on ice. It does. It's good. All right, so not to keep you much longer, I want to let you know what's coming up. I normally let you know what's going to happen a week in advance. This time I'm going to let you know what's coming up for the rest of the month, because there is quite a bit going on this month, and I want to get you ready to go. So there's some stuff that I'm going to try. I've, of course, never tried it before, but I want to give you the opportunity to go out and start doing a little buying, so you can bring it back and you can drink along with me, right? So this one, I've never had it before. I found it on the shelf the other day, and I thought, you know what? We're going to try this. So next week, it'll be either Thursday or Friday. I'm going to hope for Thursday, because last night I went to a screening of a movie that I helped with, and I couldn't be here, so we're doing it on Friday. But next week it'll be hopefully on Thursday. I'll let you know. But we're going to do the Bourbon Brothers. This is the small batch. It's a Virginia whiskey. This particular one is 90 proof. So it's a small batch. It's copper distilled. I've heard good things about Bourbon Brothers, so I'm looking forward to this one. So this will be next week. Now, let's get into what's after that. And you know what's after that on the 17th? What is it? Oh, yeah. St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day this year has the misfortune of not being anywhere near the end of the week. It's going to be on a Monday. So, and here's the funny thing. Last year, I was so stoked about doing St. Patrick's Day, and I went out and I bought a whiskey, a Irish whiskey. It was expensive, strangely high proof, and then I never did a St. Patrick's Day Bourbcast. So we're going to make up for it this year. We're going to do it on Monday, the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. We're going to do the Whistler. This is a single cask series. This one it was an Ohio OHLQ pick, single malt cask strength, finished in sherry hogshead cask. 5 years, 9 months, which is long for an Irish. I'm trying to find the proof on it. I know it's up there. I'll give this about 3 more seconds. I can't find it. I don't know what the proof is. It's up there. I'll find it. I'll tell you more about it on St. Patrick's Day. We'll do that one. The Whistler, I can't believe I forgot to do it. I even did a search on all my files and everything that I've done. Did I do the Whistler? Nope. I bought this. It's like $109 if I remember right. It was up there, and it didn't even do it. It's never been opened. It's never been out of the cardboard. But it will be next Monday. Okay, and then after that, a friend of mine gave me a bottle of whiskey, and least likely guy to give me a bottle of whiskey, and he gave me one, and it's one I have tried. I've never owned my own bottle of it until now, but he gave me this one, and the week after, so this will be I have it written down, this will be on the 20th, is the Cleveland Underground Black Cherry. I have good memories of this. I had like a sip somewhere. I don't even remember where it was, but I thought it was pretty decent. I am very critical of this distillery. They've got the Cleveland Black that is, I swear to you, horrid. One of the worst whiskeys ever. Awful. But this one, it's pretty good. At least as I recall. So this one will be on the 20th, and then we're going to stick with the fruit theme, because on the 27th, it is International Whiskey Day. And we're going to do an international whiskey that I have not done before. People have been talking about this and searching for this, And once they buy it, they hate it. Jennifer's watching. Hey, Jennifer. Oh my gosh, all my colleagues are watching. I gotta find out. Casey's a drunk. All right. So anyhow, on the 27th, which is International Whiskey Day, we're going to continue the fruit theme. This is black cherry, and this is Crown Royal Blackberry. So, Crown Royal, God bless them. Either you love it or you hate it. They have had some really great ideas over the years. Their maple was fantastic. They don't make it anymore. Their honey was fantastic. They don't make it anymore. Their salted caramel was pretty good. Their apple, people love it. I hate it. Oh, their apple's nasty. But a lot of people like it. They've got the vanilla. They've got, they used to have a bourbon cask. There's lots of flavors. Flavor au plenty. Peach. The peach is actually pretty good. They use Georgia peach juice in it. I like the peach. But that's another one of those that's 70 proof. This one is the blackberry. And this is 70 proof, which I kind of figured. But it's International Whiskey Day, so we're going to be doing this one on International Whiskey Day, which is on the 27th. So really quickly again, the rundown is going to be on the 13th next week, a week from now, it's going to be the Bourbon Brothers. This is the small batch on 90 proof. Then we're going to do the St. Patrick's Day with the Whistler. This is a relatively high proof for an Irish in a single cask. Then the Black Cherry, then the Crown Blackberry, and then we'll get into April and figure it out from there. So that's what's coming up. So go out, do your buying. Hey, Michael Bauer, Coachella Valley Mike. I was thinking about you earlier today, Mike, because it's snowing right now. I know south of us it's raining and it's nasty and it's cold and it's icky, but here it's snowing. Ohio, come on, get a grip. And Phil saw me complaining that it was snowing early today, and he's like, it's still winter. Shut up. I know it's still winter. Shut up. I don't want it to be winter. I'm done. Of winters, as far as winters go, this has been the hardest winter that we've had in 3 years. I bought a snowblower 3 years ago, and I haven't used it until this year. And this year I've used it multiple times. I'm done. Just saying. Sam Thompson. Sam, geez, there's people joining me tonight that I haven't seen in a really long time. It's good to see you, Sam. I'm glad you're here. Mike says, we've got snow in the mountains around us. Oh, well, then I'm not alone. It's in the mountains where they belong, so you're not going to be sliding all over everybody. But in the South, I've got a podcast I listen to, and they live in the South, and they've been talking about how terrible it is to have like a half inch of snow. In Ohio, we're like, child's play. All the way up to like 6 inches. I mean, we're good to go. Yeah. Most people that live up here, maybe not in Coachella Valley, but most people that live up here have four-wheel drives. At least a four-wheel drive in the family, or a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive. I personally will never own another vehicle that isn't a four-wheel drive. That being said, I'm driving my mother's vehicle right now, which is a two-wheel drive, which is horrible. It's horrible, but it's a car. So I'm grateful to have it. So anyhow, all right, so again, next week, the Bourbon Brothers. I've never had Bourbon Brothers. I've heard good things. I know they've got several different expressions that they put out, some better than others. But this is the one we're going to do next week, and then we're going to follow up with the rest of the month, and I hope you're able to join us. All right, we're gonna close out with the music video, and again, thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week with the Bourbon Brothers. You guys have a good one. Okay. I just broke the cork off.
The nose is first. Explore the aroma. Open the secrets. It's telling you.
Ooh, that's nice.
Then that first sip, let it sit on your tongue. And it's just so beautiful.
Okay, I like that better than I thought I would.
Beautiful bourbon.
Oh,
that's puke.
So refreshing.
It's beautiful
Oh, isn't
bourbon.
it gorgeous? I still haven't found my first plant.
Beautiful bourbon.
All right.